we have now Rod Blagojevich, of course, the former governor of Illinois. He was the 40th governor, and then he was removed from office. He served 8 years on federal charges of public corruption. So many questions.
He didn't deserve it.
He didn't deserve it whatsoever.
And, we're going to have Congressman Peter King, his fellow congressman at one point, to bring him in. Congressman King.
Hey, Rod, this is Pete King. How you doing, buddy?
Well, it's been a long time, Peter.
It really has. We used to call you Elvis. You were the man. And I don't know if anyone in the Congress didn't like you. Obviously, some people in Chicago didn't. You ran up against the wrong people. But as far as I was concerned, you're always a great guy. You got a bad deal. And if anyone would understand the coup that's going on now or any kind of plotting behind the scenes with the Obamas, it would be you, Rod. So how you doing, by the way?
I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you very much.
Great.
And if I could say, Peter King, you are a prince of a man. You always have been.
Well, thank you, Rod.
Rod, what do you think is going on? And by the way, Rod, this is Rita Cosby. You and I went to, you may recall, we went to Yugoslavia together, the former Yugoslavia, when Jesse Jackson, remember we were on that bus when the bombs were flying.
Yes, I remember that was May of 1999, and we were able to get our 3 soldiers home. We negotiated their release. Hello, Rita.
I remember, my friend, and I have thought of you so much. Governor, explain what you think is going on with the Chicago machine, because suddenly it's like Obama is turning on Biden. So far, he hasn't endorsed Kamala. His hands are all over the Chicago machine. And sadly, you were a victim of it, too.
Well, yes, and look, I know Barack Obama really well. I've known him since 1995. The two of us came up together in Chicago politics. He was on the south side of the city. I was on the north side of the city. We were kind of young guys that people thought were going to go higher, and we did. And he certainly learned his lessons well, because what Obama did to Biden, and there's no doubt in my mind he did it, is Chicago backroom politics, only it's a modern version of it. So the new backroom politicians who use the old Chicago way don't look like the cigar-chomping guy with a pinky ring. They look like Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. And the way they do it, and the way Obama did it, was to operate in the shadows of the back room and to, lie to the American people, manipulate the American people, and pretty much, essentially, basically say that the candidate, the incumbent president of the Democrat Party, who won over 80% of the primary vote, that the 14 million primary voters are suckers. Their votes didn't matter, and they were caught because their candidate was never in a position where he could be a candidate or be president. And once he was exposed in that presidential debate with Donald Trump, Obama and the new modern Democrat ward bosses pushed him out. And it was a campaign they conducted for weeks. They used their friends in the media to do it, and a lot of it is very, reminiscent of what I went through, because when Obama started my troubles by sending an emissary to me to make a political deal on election night, November 2008, and the next day we start talking about some of the deals we could make. They criminalized it in my case, sent me to prison for 8 years, and Obama went to the White House for 8 years. So I see his hands all over this, and I've lived it myself. We rose up together in Chicago politics, and the Chicago political way was what essentially brought my political career to I would say suspension, because I'm not giving up on the possibility, Peter King, that there may be something down the road. In the meantime, we have to save our country, and today's Democrats are destroying it.
Well, let me just say, when you were in Congress, you were a man of your word. Everybody trusted you. And I'd say to a man and a woman, we thought you got a bad deal. I mean, you were a regular guy, easy guy. I used to love walking from the Cannon Building over to the house, to carry on votes. You gave me Chicago stories and what was going on. So anyway, I wish you well going forward, that's for sure.
It's awfully good talking to you, Peter. Thank you so much. How you doing?
Things are fine. I'm here at WABC. John took me off the welfare rolls. Here I am. and talking to guys like you makes it all worthwhile. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Listen, we report the truth. You know what we end up every show with? Truth, justice, and the American way. And right now, in the last 3-4 years, I'm not sure the American people are getting the truth.
Right. Also, if I could say something, when so many guys go into hiding when things go bad, I thought your appearance on CNN in that series, you just come out and said it up front. You didn't hide from anybody. You never hid. You're always a tough guy and a rough guy and a stand-up guy.
Jesus, thank you, Peter. Wow, have I missed you.
What do you make of the fact, Governor Blagojevich, that we haven't heard from President Biden at all? I mean, it is weird. We were just talking about it. The fact that he's been
they're
MIA.
afraid he's going to change his mind if they put him on television.
Yeah, I mean, there's something there. There's something there.
No, listen, I wouldn't put it past him. You know, who knows how much of the decision he actually made? You got to think he probably did. They were pressuring him the way they did, and they were abandoning him the way they were. And
is that abuse of the elderly?
Well, you could say that they took full advantage of him. They propped him up. It was all fake. You know, I mean, you think about the Democratic Party today. They're the biggest hypocrites in American history. This is the party that says it's running to save democracy. But what have they done? They've weaponized the justice system to use as a political weapon to go after Trump, the leading candidate of the opposition party. And now they've been successful in maneuvering to dump the incumbent president who got over 80% of the vote. They're making suckers of the Democrat primary voters. They're the party of Hollywood and the Silicon Valley billionaires and the political elites. They're no longer the party of the car mechanic that gets dirty and fixes your car, or the home health care worker who cares for your elderly grandmother who's sick. They use those people for votes. They give them lip service, but they don't fight for them. When George Clooney calls, they listen. And when George Clooney said it was time to dump Biden, they dumped him.
You know, let our listeners know that Rod is a Democrat. You're listening to a Democrat talking now.
That's right, Peter. I call myself a Trumpocrat,
right.
A Democrat for Trump. And I got to tell you, I'd be for Trump even if he didn't get me out of jail.
And how did you find out? How did Trump realize you got a bum deal?
You know, John, he knew it right away. You know, Peter remembers, I think, a lot of the storm that surrounded me when I got arrested at my home at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is unprecedented. And they had SWAT teams around my house. I was Roger Stone before Roger Stone. They did it to me 9 years before they did it to him. And then they arrested me, and then it became international news. And at the time, it was, you know, Obama was viewed by the media as a demigod. They propped him up so much to be someone he's not. I'm not saying he doesn't have skill and talent, but he was not the guy they've been saying, and he's not the guy they still say he is. But when it all came down, the storm came, and everybody, you know, was condemning me and all the rest. And I was doing the best I can to fight back. And at the time, I was evidently good for rating because I was so notorious. So I was being invited on all these TV shows. Trump saw me on the David Letterman show, of all places, and he liked how I was fighting back. So then he invited me on Celebrity Apprentice. And this was October of 2009. And the first time I saw him on that show, he came up to me at this big media event, came right to me and told me I was getting screwed, and that he liked the way I was fighting back, and that he said something like, "I'm going to make you look good on this show. I'm going to make you look good on this show." And, you know, when he fired me, he did it in a real nice way. And needless to say, he was right to fire me. But, of course, I'm grateful for what he did when he freed me. Trump's the only president in American history, John, who ever fired and freed the same guy. Even me.
That's great.
Well, Rod, we look forward to talking to you more often because your story has to be told. Are you writing a book?
I'm writing a book. I've been at it for 11 months. It's almost done. I've got about 150,000 words, and it's a story that starts with one President Obama, ends with another Trump, and most of it is about a governor in prison with Crips and Bloods and gangster disciples and Sinaloa cartel drug dealers who look up to El Chapo the way my daughters look up to Taylor Swift. There were men in that prison that committed murder. They put me in the higher security prison for 3 years. So I have stories unlike any other governor, and I feel like they're interesting, and, you know, some of them are actually kind of funny.
Well, we're going to give you your first big book party in New York.
You're terrific, John. I appreciate it. Rita, so good to talk to you.
You
and
too.
Peter, my old friend, God bless you.
Thank you,
too.
Rod. You're the best.
You're the best. You got to come back soon. Wow.